All right, we are at Sage Hen Reservoir, and there are tons of butterflies, wasps, bees, all sorts of things here, like unbelievably large amounts of insects here. So we're gonna look around and see what we can find. Today, we are going back to Sage Hen Reservoir, a place you may remember from a video I posted this time last year. Sage Hen is the perfect place to go to catch bugs because there's a huge body of water surrounded by a forest. What wouldn't be there? One of the things I love most about going up to Sage Hen Reservoir is the difference in bumblebee species. Down here, since we live in the desert, we get a certain group of bumblebee species. That group includes species like Bombus huntii, the Hunt's bumblebee, Bombus chrysocalis, the brown-belted bumblebee, Bombus centralis, the central bumblebee. There's a lot of desert species, but Sage Hen is up in the mountains in a forest, so the species that you find there are completely different. A few examples of species you can find up there are Bombus vancouverensis neararcticus, the neararctic bumblebee, Bombus flavifrons, the yellow-fronted bumblebee, and Bombus mixtus, the fuzzy-horned bumblebee. Now there's three species I want to find at Sage Hen because I've seen them before, just wasn't able to get good pictures of them. Those species are the white-shouldered bumblebee, also known as Bombus apisatus, the indiscriminate cuckoo bumblebee, also known as Bombus ancillaris, and another type of cuckoo bumblebee that's known as Bombus flavis. Bombus flavitus. Look at that. Ant nest. I wouldn't even consider that a nest. I would consider that an empire.
City?
But yeah, those are formica ants. And clearly they are doing well in nature. The cool thing about formica ants is they get their name from spraying formic acid. So whenever they're threatened, all of them will aim straight up and spray formic acid at their predators. Eventually, I found one of the bumblebee species I was hoping to find in a patch of flowers, and I got this amazing video of it. We then hiked through the forest, flipping over logs in hopes of finding something cool, and we found exactly that. Aerial yellow jackets. Usually aerial yellow jackets. This was the start of an entire wasp colony. Before having a ton of workers to help out, the queen works on the beginning of the nest by itself. So probably a bald-faced hornet or a common aerial yellow jacket. Hopefully it's abandoned because the queen comes back. As we continued our hike, we found a dying tree with a ton of carpenter ants living inside of it. And it just goes to show how insanely powerful ants can be. As we were heading back from our hike, I got these wonderful videos of multiple different bumblebee species. And one of those was one of the species I was hoping to see today, the white-shouldered bumblebee. Alright, so I just caught one of the weirdest looking wasp species. This is called an ichneumon wasp. As you can see there, it has a very long ovipositor. That's actually not a stinger, that's called an ovipositor. These wasps can't sting. The reason they have that is for dry wood like this, they will drill a hole in it and lay their eggs inside of it. Now, one crucial thing I forgot to mention about these wasps is how big they can get to be. Because I realized this a few seconds later when I found another one.
There you go. Hold it up so he gets in there. That thing's like 3 or 4 inches long.
Holy crap. Look at that.
You gotta put your hand up to there so you can see how big it is.
Look at that.
That thing's huge.
Now that probably looks like something conceived from your deepest, darkest fears. But what if I told you that is not even a stinger? In fact, it's completely harmless. You might be wondering, how? Well, I'm going to tell you. Now, ichneumon wasps are something known as parasitic wasps, which means they feed off of other animals. For ichneumon wasps, their prey is larvae living inside of wood. Well, if they're living inside of wood, then how do they reach it? That's where the ovipositor comes in. The ovipositor secretes a liquid that breaks down the wood. So they basically drill a hole into the wood. Once the ovipositor reaches the larvae, they lay an egg on it. That egg hatches and then eats the larvae. This explains why the ovipositor is super long. The cool thing about ovipositors is wasps aren't the only insects that have them. Crickets have them. But wasps, however, are the only insects that developed a modified ovipositor, which is now known as a stinger. A good way to think about it is a stinger is an ovipositor, but an ovipositor is not a stinger. So the ichneumon wasp is completely harmless. It can't sting us, and no, it can't lay eggs in us because it can only lay eggs in wood, and it doesn't even want to lay eggs in us. So if you ever see one of these amazing creatures in the wild, instead of going, "Ah!" a good alternative is, "Ooh," and admire it from a safe distance. So what butterflies like to do is near the water where the ground is wet, the butterflies will sit down on the mud and drink all the nutrients out of the water. And this is usually where you find the cool species like swallowtails, or there's pale swallowtail, admiral butterflies like that one that just flew away, all sorts of really unique species. Before leaving, I managed to find the last bumblebee species I was hoping to see today. Well, there you go. That was my first video after a very, very long break. I apologize that that break lasted a lot longer than expected. That is because the pollinators got a really rough start this year. But the plants are starting to bloom, the pollinators are starting to come out, and I'm very excited for another year of Hymenoptera humes. See you next time.